Hi, everyone, and welcome. The sports writers are here. There they are, Phil Stacy, Matt Williams, and Nick Kukuru. Nick Giannino is not with us here this week as we talk on Monday evening to post on Tuesday morning on both websites, salemnews.com, msonews.com, and, of course, or gloucestertimes.com as well, whatever. So we're here, and we're talking some sports. And so, Phil, Monday afternoon, St. John's Prep played Catholic Memorial, Catholic
Yep.
Conference title on the line. Winner takes it, loser does not take it. And the Prep was unfortunately did not come out with a win on Monday afternoon.
That's right. Disappointing result for the home team. St. John's Prep saw their 12-game winning streak snapped. Very uncharacteristic. They gave up 4 goals in the third period. 3 power play goals in the day, 5 penalties in all. Again, all very rare for them. But Catholic Memorial is an excellent team, as their 16 wins would tell you. They were fast. They moved the puck very well. They're very skilled on the power play. They get shots on net, looking for tips and redirections and whatnot. And that's how they scored 3 of their goals. So they skate away with a 5-3 win, including an empty netter. And I think it's a little bit of a wake-up call, Bill, for St. John's Prep. Things have been going great for them. They've been steamrolling a lot of opponents. I think they've been able to be a little bit sloppy at times because they have so much talent. They can get away with it, but that was not the case against Catholic Memorial. What I thought was very interesting is that St. John's Prep has only given up 9 shorthanded goals all season, and 5 of those have come in the 2 games against Catholic Memorial, which tells you something. You can't put that team on the power play, essentially. I would say that there's certainly a decent chance that the 2 of them could meet in the postseason. They'll almost certainly be the top 2 ranked teams in Division I when those are announced in a week and a half. And if everything goes according to the way that the power rankings come out, and not to say that it will, because Hingham's going to be right there, Arlington's going to be right there, Pope Francis could be there. You could have someone crash the party like a BC High. But if all the seeds hold and one plays 2 at the Garden in the state final, you're going to have St. John's Prep and see him again. And that third game would be very, very interesting, not only because it's for a state title, but because I thought St. John's Prep played so well in the win at Babson 5 weeks ago. Today it was CM's turn to turn the tables and really come up clutch in the third period when they had to just skate away with a win. So disappointing result for St. John's Prep. Not the be-all, end-all. I mean, the title would have been great. They haven't won one in 10 years, as hard as that is to believe. They've won 2 state titles during that time and no Catholic Conference titles. But, maybe if this is a silver lining at all, it gives them a chance to refocus and reboot. For prep hockey fans would remember this. Their last loss of last season came against Catholic Memorial for the Catholic Conference title. They didn't lose again the rest of the season. They won the state title. So can opportunity ring twice? I don't know. We'll find out.
Let me go quickly to Nick Kukuru. We're talking about big games. That was one on Monday afternoon, Phil, you just talked about. But, Nick, you were at the Gloucester-Winthrop game. Gloucester trying to make something happen down in Winthrop on Saturday afternoon, but came up short there, too. Winthrop continues to roll along in the Northeastern Conference. So what was your take on really both of those 2 teams and where they're at right now coming to almost the end of the regular season?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that clinched the NEC done
Yeah, it
for
did.
Winthrop. They're 9-0-1 in the conference, so that was obviously a well-earned conference title for them. As far as the game concerned, I mean, Winthrop came out, scored the first 2 goals, and you can't really do that against them if you want to have a chance. Gloucester, I didn't think they played poorly over the final 2 periods at all, but they just couldn't cut into the lead. Winthrop just takes real good care of the puck. Thought they kind of kept the lanes open in front of their goalie. I thought their goalie kind of got a good look at everything Gloucester was throwing at them, and they pulled it out 4-2. Big moment second period. Gloucester actually started to really turn things around in the second period. They had a big shot advantage, but they cut the lead to 2-1, and then they got 2 penalties in 10 seconds. That kind of took the wind out of their sails. Winthrop got 2 power play goals in that sequence. Ironically, Gloucester got a shorthanded goal too, but it wasn't enough. Gloucester, they never led, never tied the whole day.
All right, we're kind of be joined here by a special guest joining us here. So that's those are 2 big boys hockey stories. It was a girls hockey story from this past weekend as well, with the Peabody girls, Peabody Linfield North Reading girls hockey team picking up a win, a 1-0 win over Newburyport. And that coach right there at the bottom of my screen anyway, Michelle Roach, picking up her 100th win with the PLNR team. And Michelle, welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Bill, for having me.
You know, I feel like I really need to let Matt Williams handle some of this questioning here because he's follows the team so close. But tell us about that game. It was so close, and when did that one goal come
Oh my
against
God, it
Newburyport?
was so close. We kept pressing. We're getting a ton of shots to net, but we couldn't get something to go. We ended up the second period. We just sometimes we get caught out there with the long change. And so Katie Campersall got caught out there with the long change. We actually called her off to come to the bench. She started coming to the bench. We opened the door and we were about to send Vanessa Steinmeier out when the puck came into the neutral zone right near our bench. Katie read it, picked it up, went into the zone, and was able to stuff it 5-hole. And luckily, we were able to hold on to that lead. That was probably about 3:50 left in the second period.
I'm thinking that Vanessa could have scored that goal too, though. You know, Coach, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Vanessa is one of our hardest working forwards, and she's been playing so well this season.
Matt Williams, why don't you give us some insights and fire a few questions if you could. You've been covering that team so closely over the last several years.
Well, tell us, tell us about the 100 wins and the 100 points. I mean, that's very rare. I think there's only, in my estimation, 2 women that have had 100 points as an MIA player and 100 wins as an MIA coach. And in the boys' game, that's not uncommon. I would say, just because of the length of time, right? You got your Chris Hansons out there. I think Mark Leonard is probably one of those guys too. I mean, Phil could probably list off 10 guys just off the top of his head. I mean, maybe even Andrew Jackson. I don't know if he got to 100 wins. He might have been like 70 or 80 or whatever. But I mean, for girls, like, and take us back to when you started. I mean, you had amazing coaches in Mr. Langlaise, whose boys now play for Danvers High, and your own dad. But to have girls that are coaching girls, right? I mean, is that something that means a lot to you to sort of be I don't know if it's a little cheesy to say pioneer, but I mean, that's really what you are. And I think this kind of accomplishment is just a great thing for young girls to see that girls can do this too. Without sounding cheesy, I think it's a big deal.
I think it's really cool. I was actually having a conversation with my father this weekend about because it was surprising to me when you look at the top 10 Division I teams, only 2 of those top 10 teams have female coaches. So it'd be great to see more women start coaching, get back into it. I know, my assistant coach, Amanda Donahoe, was a player I had over at St. Mary's. And she's an active coach now, which is awesome. And it's come a long way. It's interesting because Danvers actually practices after us on Thursdays. So Todd Langlis was my coach in high school, and now his 2 sons are on Danvers. And it's funny because I've known them since they were babies, and now they are probably about 6'5". So it's come full circle for me.
At least Ty is. Josh is not quite that tall, the freshman, but he's getting there, Michelle. You can see he's going to have a growth spurt real soon, I think.
Oh yeah, and Ty towers over me. So it's cool to go from. I mean, because I played for the boys team at St. Mary's, then I transitioned to the girls team, and then be able to come back and coach at St. Mary's, and then take over my own program. 8 years has flown by.
I want to ask you too, and like, I don't want to get you in trouble or anything, but the MIAA aspect of this, right? Because there just aren't that many girls that have played the MIA hockey. I mean, when you were a kid, there were some prep schools that had the game. You probably had the opportunity to do that. You stayed, kind of got that program there off the ground at St. Mary's, and now I think, because of the length of time, maybe there's this perception that the prep school hockey is better or more advanced. And I think, I look at Austin Preps basically running roughshod And there were some teams, such as St. Mary's Lynn, such as Arlington last year, that played Austin Prep a lot tougher than a lot of these prep schools are. So, just tell me a little bit about what you think that the growth of the MIA hockey has been, and how it stacks up, and why you've chosen to play MIA hockey in public school, and coach there, and stay there. Like, what are some of the real advantages? And do you think that's kind of true that sometimes the prep ranks, I don't want to say overrated, but I just, like I said, I some people are surprised by Austin's success, and I'm just not. And I think there are probably all the top 10 teams in the power rankings would have similar success against, some of these so-called high-level teams.
I think first and foremost, I mean, you cannot beat high school sports. I grew up in Lynn, played for St. Mary's. My father played for St. Mary's. My whole family went there. And that feeling of, high school sports and being part of something and growing something. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to join Peabody when I first just decided that I wanted to go out as a head coach. Just the opportunity to be a part of something so grassroots and be able to grow it into this awesome thing. And we were able to do it at St. Mary's with the girls team, and now look at them. And then to move over to Peabody, and we went from, in the first 8 years of the program, they won 19 games total. In the last 8 years, we just celebrated 100. And to go from a 19 in wins in 8 seasons to now being a top contender in Division One, I think that is just so amazing, and it's a testament to the kids that we have coming through the program, the student athletes that are staying in the public schools, and they're just working so hard. And we have so many great kids, and they do have the opportunity to go play college hockey. They don't necessarily have to go to the prep school first to do that.
Michelle, I actually had a chance to watch probably the last 6 or 7 minutes of Saturday's game. I was there for the game afterwards, and I was talking to Sally Driscoll, wife of the late Bob Driscoll, before the game, but we were watching some of your game, and it really struck me. You were playing with a 1-0 lead, but I love the fact that your team was not only protecting its lead, but continuing to really forecheck and hem them in the defensive zone so that they weren't able to get any breakouts going or any odd man rushes or things like that. Forgive me for asking, but I haven't seen a lot of your games this year, just a handful. I saw a little bit of the Beverly game at Endicott. Has that been a staple of yours this year, just that constant forecheck, even with the lead, to keep opponents back on their skates, so to speak?
We've been working on that a lot in practice, because we know, a 1-goal lead, we talk about it with the kids of you got to get it below the goal line, and we want to play it low as long as we can. And I think that I have I have 6 seniors that have really helped develop the program. And just even, in that last couple minutes, they weren't able to pull the goalie. They pulled it as soon as we'd step over the red, we dumped it.
Right.
And then right in the last probably 20 seconds, Hannah Gromko took the puck to the corner, and she held it there as tight as she could. And I just think some of their situational awareness and their clock management has been, a big strength of ours, along with our depth.
Michelle, maybe just to close it out with one last question, just mention your captains for us, if you could. Just share their roles with the team for the team.
Yes, so I have 5 captains: Ella Chase, Penny Spack, Hannah Gromko, Jenna DiNapoli, and Chloe Considine. And they are just what's great about this team is you have a 3-school co-op. Any given day you come hang out with us, you don't know who goes to what school. They all get along really, really well. And I genuinely mean that. I know a lot of teams, they'll say, they get along well, but these kids, they just get along so well. I have 3 sets of sisters. They've grown up playing together, and they have just made it this amazing thing. And I was so caught off guard on Saturday. It was senior night. We had a lot going on. I wasn't aware that they all knew that it was my 100th win. And I was talking to Dan Robinson when they all came back on the ice, and my back was towards them. And so I was talking to Dan, and then I walked away to go get my bag. And I turned around and my entire team was on the ice with flowers and poster boards and balloons. And it was a really incredible moment. And it was just that moment where you pause and you say, we created something really special here.
Terrific. Well, it's a great story. Congratulations to you, Michelle. Now, your next game, by the way, Friday, right? That's your next one against Marblehead. Does that close out the regular season for you, or do you have more?
No, that will close out our elite games, but we do have two next week. Monday we play Fenwick for the Carling Cup, and then Wednesday we'll close out with HPNA, and we're away for that.
All right. Hey, one last question. How do you see the Marblehead game? How does that shape up from a previous matchup, or how would you preview that game?
We are going into that game like, we say every period it's a 0-0. We got to reset. Brittany Smith is a fantastic coach. She's done awesome things with that Marblehead program. And I have the utmost of respect for her and her program. So I know she's going to come with them ready and willing to play on Friday. So we know we're going to have to bring our best game.
All right. Michelle, thanks so much for joining us. And again, congratulations on the 100th win, and best of luck to the team the rest of the way.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Take care.
Congratulations, Michelle.
Bye.
Take care.
All right. Well, Michelle can drop off. There she does. Okay. So we'll
You know what?
continue.
That was a nice little addition to the podcast, I would say.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
think too.
Should set up more of those, Bill. You should
Yeah,
surprise us.
I
from
literally
time to
was just
time.
thinking that, like, surprise us, throw those on. She certainly classed it up. Let's say that.
That's we can all agree on that. That's for
Yes.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was I can't we may not be able to top that one, but yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, we could try to play like Stump the Schwab, because I think Phil and I often joke about how we can kind of parachute in to anything and write anything. So you can get us some really random things and see if we can come up with intelligent questions to ask.
Yeah.
All right.
I like that we didn't know she was coming on. That was
accepted,
good.
Well, to that's how I was going to do it, but I did send out an email telling you that I was going to have her. Not that you weren't busy this afternoon, Phil, and had time to read that email. So, but anyways, hey, so
I should say I got a quick text as we were finishing with Michelle here. Kooks, bit of a upset that would concern you. Rockport with a 5-2 win over Swampscott hockey tonight. You knew about that?
Yeah, I saw a tweet from John Parisi on Twitter. Yeah, big
It's
win.
a great win for Rockport. I mean, I know.
Yeah, they've been locked into number 31 in Division 4 for like 4 weeks now. They've just kind of been locked into that 31 spot. Hoping, maybe a win right there might move them up a little.
That could. That definitely should bump them up a little bit, because I know Swampscott has dropped 3 in a row. They're missing a bunch of guys with sickness and injury. But it's a good team. I mean, they were 10-4 a week ago. So that's a real good win for Rockport. And I think we've said it on this podcast before, but Kyle Nelson and his guys really do a great job. In fact, one of his guys, Connor Douglas, it's Connor, right? Connor's the assistant, right? Oh, Brendan.
I thought it was Brendan, but
it is Brendan. Connor's the younger brother. Okay. Brendan. Sorry, Brendan. Brendan and his wife just had their first baby, so congratulations to them. Another Viking coming into the world.
Nice. Absolutely. Yeah, Rockport's an interesting case. They're a little bit Jekyll and Hyde, but when they're good, they're good. I mean, they were Shawsheen's only loss for a while, and you see this nice win today. They can come up and get surprise a really good team when they're at their best.
Well, they got the two brothers that both play goal, right? They've got some. I know they don't have a lot of seniors, but the seniors they have, I think, all play vital roles. I mean, well, they have 4 of those guys in the top 6 forwards. Another guy on defense that logs a lot of minutes. I think Michael Murphy's a really talented player, does a lot of things you don't see on the score sheet. So, hey, good for them.
Big time.
We were going to, I had a couple of ideas to mix it up a little bit, but Phil, just before we started, we were discussing Peter Bush being named the head football coach over at Swampscott. And
yeah, nice segue there.
How unique that was, in the sense that his dad was a coach. His dad didn't play in Swampscott.
No.
I can't remember what town he came from, but it wasn't right in this area. I'm blanking out now. I'm sorry, and I talked to Peter last week, but only very quickly to do the interview. But anyways, Peter grew up in Swampscott and played in Swampscott. Went to UNH and now is back and coached as an assistant in Swampscott, and now is their head coach. And how unusual that is, because I was thinking of the two brothers, the Kelsey brothers, that played against each other in the Super Bowl. First time that ever happened this yesterday, Sunday.
Yeah.
But you brought up the Bush thing is clearly unique. I mean, we have coaches whose sons go on and coach, but not necessarily at the school where
Correct.
they were from or
Yeah, I
whatever. But
mean, before Peter was even hired, Matt Williams and I were saying, geez, if he, I mean, because we kind of figured that was going to happen. I mean, and it's a great choice.
yeah,
Swampscott. Peter's a good guy. I think he has the right values. He's already, well known and respected, not only in football circles, but within the Big Blue family. He's trusted. The players know and love him. His own kids are involved in the program. Not that that's the reason why he got into it, but I think it's a nice addendum to that. But Matt and I were saying that, geez, can you think of anyone who has coached at the same school in the same sport as their father? We thought about football, and the only two that we could, the one that we could think of, the two people were the Columbos in Brockton.
okay.
Um,
I got
Armin
one.
and
How about
Peter.
the Cellas of Revere?
Yeah,
Were they the
Revere,
same
yeah.
team?
Silvio and Mike, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Well,
That's
Mike
right.
coached other places too, though. But
He did. No, he did coach Revere in the late 80s.
okay. Yeah.
I think so the late, they were quite not directly before Coach Chickatelli, who's there now, but
Okay.
a little while.
Well, regardless, it's very
before that. But it's
extremely
rare. I mean,
rare.
oh, it's very. I mean, yeah, three. I mean, that's not very many. Three. I mean, you don't need
No, it's like,
you don't need your left hand to count. I mean, that's pretty good. And
no, and it makes me think, like, has that happened in some other sports? And again, off the top of my head, I can't think of any. I'm sure that there are maybe some examples of that, but
I can't. I mean, yeah, I got nothing. I mean,
could happen with the New England
you know.
Patriots someday. Who knows? But yeah,
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, just a quick perusal off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone who's had their son or daughter not only succeed them, but even coach in the same program as the head coach. Anyway, there's certainly been assistant coaches who have done that, but as the head coach, so I think it's kind of remarkable that happens. So
Very. No, it's a great thing. I mean, it's really cool, and it's a really Swampscotty thing too. I mean, it's just such a tight knit
Yeah,
community,
right.
right? It just seems like the type of place where you'd see something like that, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, that day when they announced it, I was thinking I got to contact Swampscott and find out when they're going to announce their football coach. I'm probably a little psychic, but anyways, and I too am thinking that Peter Bush would seem like he would be the candidate unless there's somebody that I wasn't aware of, somebody that flew in. Maybe there was maybe Belichick's son applied for the job or something or other. Who knows? And you got to give him some consideration, I suppose. But maybe not.
Well, if the Chiefs lost last night, Andy Reid might have been, looking to buff up
Andy Reid. Yeah.
Who knows,
And Nick, what about up in Gloucester? I mean, have there been brother combos? Not so much father son, but I'm thinking of that. It's funny when I was thinking of the brothers thing. The two that stuck out to me in a unique brother situation was back in the '80s. Marblehead basketball under Brad Sheridan was coach then. They had the Buckholz twins that were sharpshooters, and they might have been contemporaries of the legendary Paul Moran at that time. I may be wrong in that, but they were twins. And I can remember going, and they were entertaining because they could drill the ball from outside, probably before there was a 3-point shot. But I do remember going to a tournament game, watching them over in Beverly, and the fans were there, and they were hitting deep jumpers all over the place, both of them. But the fans didn't realize there were two of them, or a couple of the people sitting next to me, and they're thinking, "God, this is like Pete Maravich or something." This kid, but there were two of them, and they could both shoot very well, but. There's of course many brothers that played over the years. McLaren's up. It's McLaren, I think, in Newburyport. Maybe I have that name wrong. But anyways, they just recently played for Newburyport High School boys basketball. But Nick, any brother combos you can think of in Gloucester, Rockport, in that area?
Coaching wise,
Not so much coaching, I guess, because there probably
I'd say,
aren't.
coaching is a little bit semantics, but Donnie Riley was the Gloucester boys hockey coach, and his daughter Lauren is the field hockey coach, which is an interesting segue.
Oh, yeah.
He's our top assistant. But No, not as far as coach is concerned. I know as far as sibling combinations that I've covered, I have to go back to the Kane sisters on Gloucester girls basketball back about the early 2010s. I want to say 2011 they reached the Division II North Finals, and they were under Coach John Flanagan. They were a
Oh
juggernaut.
yeah.
Hannah was the point guard. Heather was the shooting guard, who also she was the point guard after her older sister graduated. But they were just a dominant duo. They were probably the best sibling combination I've seen.
Um, Let me just transition, looking at our remaining time here would you guys have been great in forecasting what are some big games coming up in the week. I know there's some tournaments that already Michelle alluded to coming up at the end of the week and so on, and next week, the school vacation week. But I know in girls basketball, Peabody, just with the two non-league losses, plays Saugus on Tuesday night.
Speaking
Tonight, as
of
people see
sisters,
this. What's that?
speaking of siblings,
Yes,
that
there you
league's
go.
got about 8 pairs, I think.
Yeah.
I think
I-
you could do a Betancourt full house, right? Because you got Mark's
Oh, man.
three, you got Mark's three, and you got Teddy's two. So I guess that's a full house. That's what we should be calling them, right? That's 3 and 2. That's
Yeah,
you know.
they're probably been watching this thing going, Betancourt, come on, you guys. Yeah, but not coaches, but you're right, players. Great, absolutely, yeah.
You know what I remember too is the Madrano twins in Salem were pretty fun to watch in both basketball and baseball. That was about 10 years ago. Those kids were special.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a brother combination making headlines this week. Gloucester wrestling, the Toppin twins.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Jaden and Michael Toppin. They both won Division III North sectional titles this week, and Jaden at 220, Michael at 195. But yeah, they're juggernauts too. Those two.
Yeah, you got the Darlings wrestling dynasty there at Masco, and at St. John's, the Shoblins in wrestling too. I think the older one graduated, but the younger one won another sectional title this past week.
So what's ahead this week that you guys can think of that are on the big game watch, if you will? You obviously, Phil, had the big one Monday afternoon with the prep and CM hockey. Nick, you had the big one last Saturday with Winthrop Gloucester hockey, boys hockey.
Yeah, I would say at least on the hockey end of things, Bill, I don't know how many big games per se there are the rest of the way. I mean, we got about a week and a half, as I think I mentioned earlier, left in the regular season, and a lot of it is, maybe there's some late season games in like the Newburyport tournament where some of our teams have taken part, or some non-leaguers. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of shuffling in the power rankings between now and the end of the season. I mean, where you are is essentially where you're going to be. I think our teams are kind of locked in as far as who's going to be in the playoffs and who isn't. Again, big games, relative term. I mean, I would say what's big coming up, maybe basketball wise, is we have the annual Larry McIntyre tournament. That IAABO Board 130 tournament over Marblehead, boys and girls. And on the girls' side, there's going to be two great games. You have Peabody and Masconomet facing off for the third time this year, with Peabody winning the first two games. And you have Bishop Fenwick taking on, it's North Andover, Willie, right? Not Andover High?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah. And both of those should be terrific games on that side. On the boys' side, you have Marblehead against, I want to say, Bedford in one of the games. And the other one is Bishop Fenwick, which has struggled this year, but, a win in a tournament such as this could be a great thing for them, taking on Gloucester. So those two boys' games are 4:15 and 6. The girls, Fenwick girls, North Andover is at 1, and Peabody Masco, I want to say, is 2:30. So that's a big game this weekend. And plus, as far as this coming weekend, we got a lot of stuff, Bill, with, we have wrestling state tournaments. I mean, we could touch upon that quickly with Matt going to Division II in Salem this past weekend. You have swimming state championships, girls on Saturday, boys on Sunday at MIT. We get the divisional state championships for track running over 5 days, starting Wednesday at Reggie Lewis and going right through to Sunday. So there's a lot going on this weekend in terms of maybe not in the basketball hockey sense, but in a lot of these other sports.
I know just on our website, on our basketball post we have up from just yesterday actually is we do have the McIntyre tournament pairings listed there, and the Spartans, St. Mary's has a tournament as well next week, so we have notes on that as well. But Phil, you did pretty well on those games covering while I was fumbling to react and try to find my schedule here in front of me. But there you go, you did it, you nailed it. So yeah, so. Anything else you guys want to touch? Matt, you want to touch more on the wrestling or?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a nice, good time over there. Division II was at Salem, and fun to watch all the matches. The finals. We there were quite a lot of local people in the finals, which was pretty cool. We had 4 winners, and each one had a totally different story. Luke Connolly, who grew up in Salem, was at so many those meets with his dad Scott when he was AD in Salem, all day long just watching these things, and then to get to compete and get to win a championship there for Bishop Fenwick, and he beat a Salem guy, although the Salem guy goes to Hamilton Wenham because of their co-op team. So you kind of need a chart to keep all that straight, but that was pretty awesome to see all the classic Salem types there to root on Luke, all the coaches that he's known since he was a tiny guy. And that was an awesome match between Connolly and Dalton. The coaches there seem to think that those two could both match up again this weekend at Division II states, that they might be the 2 best in the state at their weight class, and just so happen to be both in the North. But, it was so interesting with Masco's 2 champions, Miles Darling, a guy who's been wrestling his whole entire life. And then they got their heavyweight, an Essex Tech guy, Trevor O'Neill, and he's only wrestling for the very first time, come out this year. He's a rookie and he wins a sectional championship. So it was just fun to see how each and every person on the mat sort of had their own different story. And, now the top 4 finishers from all the different weight classes in divisions 1, 2, and 3 in the North, South, East, Central, and West move on to the states. And just in our little Salem News coverage area, we have, I think, close to 40 guys going on. St. John's Prep has 11. Peabody Saugus has 2. Danvers Advanced, I want to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. Beverly and Salem each had 7 guys going on. So that's a lot of guys. And then I think Masco has 3 or 4 and Fenwick has 2. So that adds up to, and then when you throw the guys from Gloucester, from Nick Kukaru's area that advanced in there, you're talking close to 40 grapplers to keep an eye on this weekend. So, it just goes to show you. I mean, not every team has not every school has a wrestling program, but there's quite a lot of depth around here. When you look at the number of guys that are going on, and not just going on, but are going to be high seeds in their respective weight classes, there's a lot of talent out there.
Nick Kukaru, do you want to follow up on that wrestling, or in our final 2 minutes, let's say, do you want to touch on the Super Bowl? You always have some pretty good football insights for us here. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll touch on the Super Bowl. Gloucester has 4 kids in that qualify for the state, so add another 4 onto all those kids that Willie mentioned. As for the Super Bowl, I mean, I thought it was a good game. I thought if certain circumstances didn't go down the way they did in the last minute, it could have been an instant classic, great game. That's the NFL for you. But I mean, I'm not surprised the Chiefs won. I thought the longer that game was close, the more I liked Kansas City. I just trust Mahomes in those situations more than anybody else. And we saw, although I thought Andy Reid was the biggest takeaway on Sunday, I thought he was nothing short of brilliant the way he was able to scheme guys open with a hobbled quarterback.
Oh my God, it's ridiculous. It's like this guy's never seen motion before. You got all this newfangled fancy stuff. Analyze this, analyze that. Here's a wing back in motion from 1987, and you can't deal with it. But I'll bring it full circle to the brothers because it felt like there was always a Berganzi brother on the Everett football team, and one of them works for the Chiefs and got another ring. So he might have more actual Super Bowl rings than he won Super Bowl rings at Everett because Dave Berganzi was at the beginning of the dynasty. He might actually only have 1 high school Super Bowl ring, and now he has 2. And, isn't that a famous set of brothers for our viewers from the 90s?
They actually have quite a Massachusetts connection, the Chiefs. I know that Spagnola, is from Springfield College, I want to say. And there's quite a few of their coaches who have ties to Massachusetts. So I don't know if happy is the right word, but I was pleased that the Chiefs won. I thought they were the better team with the better quarterback. Having said that, I mean, that was the Eagles' game to lose, and lose they did. I mean, they were in complete control in that first half. They played a great first half, almost Atlanta Falcon-esque, to be honest with you. Hurts looked amazing. Everything they did was working and all, and I don't know if it was the long Rihanna performance or what that did them in after the half, but geez, they were a different team, and give the Chiefs credit, man. They came out and did what they had to do. Like these guys said, those last 2 touchdowns they scored, those guys were wide open.
Wide open, yeah.
I mean, how do you have a breakdown in coverage like that? It's befuddling to me, you know. But hey,
What you call peeking in the backfield, baby.
That's
Every
it.
coach says it. It doesn't matter if you're talking about mites or high school or college or the NFL. I guess you start peeking, you're gonna be in trouble.
All right, on that, we'll peak on that peak right there.
Ha,
And gentlemen,
nice.
we are out of time. Thank you.